One thing I'm not is an expert on tires, but I have had tires on every single vehicle that I've ever driven, so that should count for something. Today I want to show you the difference between all-terrain and mud-terrain tires. That way hopefully you can get a little education and make the right choice for your vehicle the first time. Before we get into the differences between the mud-terrain and the all-terrain tread pattern, I do want to point out this series of little numbers here that's very important. So what we have is we have the tire size, the tire width, the wheel or the rim size. In this case, this is the tire that's on my Jeep right here. It's a 33 inch by 12.50 R15. R15 is the rim. And on the end of that, there's an LT, and that stands for like light duty truck. On any Jeep, light duty truck is about the one you want. I'll leave that up to you, but I just wanted to point out that that's what these numbers are for, and every tire has them. All right, guys, so what we have here is we have an all-terrain KO2 and a mud-terrain KM3. These are both BFGs. Now, this tire right here is off of my 2021 Sprinter 4x4. I actually run this BFG all-terrain in a 32, which is a pretty good size for that Sprinter. And like most people, I would say 90% of the people, all-terrain tires are the way to go. And let me tell you why. Because this all-terrain has a good look. It has a nice aggressive look, you can see, but the treads are much closer together than the muds. And what that does is that gives you a more comfortable, a more quiet ride on pavement. And for things like snow and rain and like your regular dirt trails, this will actually give you a little bit better traction in many cases. The all-terrain also is a lot lighter than the mud terrain. And you know, every pound helps, especially when you're talking 5. So let's say these tires are 4 or 5 pounds difference in weight, times that by 5, and you're talking 25 extra pounds. You know, it's pretty significant. They also make these out of a little bit harder compound as they do the mud terrain, so they will last you quite a bit longer, actually. So let's look at the pros and the cons of the all-terrain tire. Now, the pros are this. They last longer than mud because of the harder compound. They are better driving universally than the mud terrains, meaning they are better in the rain, they're better in the snow, they're better on the road, they're better in almost every situation except for anything that's specifically geared up for that tread pattern on the mud. And of course, they are cheaper. The con list for the all-terrain, honestly, I really only have one con for this, and it's not even that much of a con because I do think that the way they build out these sidewalls, they still look very rugged. But I would say if there's a con to an all-terrain, the con would be that they do not look as aggressive and as rugged as the mud terrain. But as you can see, this is still a pretty good looking tire. So as we take a look at our mud terrain, we'll see that this is a much toothier looking tire. These tread blocks are very big and chunky, and the gap is much, much larger than an all-terrain. And they're actually specifically designed to push the mud out and really get a hold of things with these teeth. That's why when you air these down and you're crawling up rocks, stuff like that, you'll find a very, very good grip on a mud terrain tire. Looking at it from the side view, you'll see that it looks very, very aggressive and meaty. This is a KM3, which at the time was a new tire, so I really wanted to give it a shot, and I am glad I did because they look awesome. Guys, if I'm being honest, like many of you, I hate the mud, but I love the look. So I honestly got these tires because I just wanted that aggressive tread pattern look on this Jeep. So the pros and cons of a mud tire. The pros are definitely the look. It's very aggressive, very rugged look. I love it. Then you go down to the way that it grips on, especially like rocky situations, stuff like that, as well as the performance in the mud specifically. The cons, however, are they cost more than an all-terrain. They weigh more than an all-terrain. They get loud sometimes, especially as they wear, and the compound that they make these out of is softer, so they don't last nearly as long. That's it, guys. This has been kind of an average person's guide to all-terrain versus mud terrain. Hopefully the information will help you make the right choice on the right tire for your rig.